Hi there, I'm Vicki Parfenow from Aussie Stampers and Vicki Parfenow Studio. Welcome to a printmaking session. I love printmaking. I make lots of different kinds of prints, collagraph, lithograph, and dendritic printing is something that I am really excited about because I think I've discovered something that is simple, easy and accessible to everybody. In fact, I'm going to be using Ikea kids paints to make these prints today. And I'm going to show you how simple it is to come up with these kinds of designs. So in front of me are some of the designs I've made. I think I'm just going to get right into the printmaking process with you and show you how I did it. So what you're going to need is a couple of smooth tiles. Now these little tiles, as you can see, are quite small. Whatever size tiles you want you can work with, but I started off working small. They're very smooth, there's no design on them, and you can pick these up from the hardware store in broken boxes. So what happens is the boxes of tiles come in on the pallet. Sometimes the boxes get broken, so what the hardware store does, and particularly I bought these at Bunnings in Australia, what they do is they sell individual tiles from the box, and I think these tiles were something like 40 cents each. So for 80 cents, you've got yourself a printing press, and I'll show you how it works. So this is the Ikea kids paints. If you haven't seen them before, they seem to be the perfect viscosity for this to work. But the reason I love them, apart from the fact that they have mad fluoro colors, and I just love fluoro colors, is that they have this little nib or little point on them. So you can see I've been drawing on my hand already this morning. They draw out this tiny fine bead of paint. The colors that I haven't used in my projects yet, and I would like to give a try to, are the orange and the pink, and I'm going to bring in some of the trusty gold. So let's get cracking and see how this works. As my substrate, I am using a couple of pieces of cardstock that I've already folded into a card size, so they should fit quite nicely on there, and I might be able to make something nice out of them. You will get 2 prints out of each of these prints that we make. You're going to be able to pull 2 prints from. Now the reason that I think these paints work so well is you're able to lay down a really fine bead of paint, and I just do some squiggles. Now if you were to do this with a paintbrush, I'm not going to say it's impossible. I haven't had any success doing this with a paintbrush, but I think it's because the bead is quite high when you lay it down. It hasn't collapsed. I'm just going to do a little bit there. And what we're going to do is squish the tiles together and make an airtight seal, lock the air into the tiles, and create these dendritic patterns. Okay, so I'm just leaving those there so you can see what I've done. It's this easy, folks. You're going to put smooth side to smooth side, lock it down and press. And you're going to need a sharp object now to get the tiles apart, because this now has created an airlock. I can feel that they're really hard to pull apart, so I'm just going to very gently, this is a sharp knife so don't hurt yourself, pull that apart, and there's my dendrites. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at that, look at that. Wow. So let's create some cards with them. So easy peasy. I like to do them like they are seaweed branching up from the ocean, because I've got a whole theme of fish and mermaids and lovely things to do with that. So I'm going to turn it this way, so the card's opening this way. I'm going to put it towards the bottom of the card, which will let me put a greeting somewhere on the top, and I'm just going to lightly press it down and give it a bit of a massage. And the trick here is do not let it move. If it moves on the tile, you will get a very poor print. Just gently, gently, gently giving it a bit of a massage there, pull it off. And there you can see I have a really thick print, but the dendrites are clear in there, right through here, and that will dry a little bit clearer as well. I think I probably pushed a little bit too hard on that, because I really want to keep this lovely branching effect. That's okay, we can doctor that up later. Again, I'm going to put the card down this way. This time I'm going to press much lighter. So I got a bit carried away there, a bit excited. Just gently touch it to the card without moving it. You want to capture those branches. And I'm sure this one's going to come up much better. Yes, now we have some actual clear dendrites. Aren't they beautiful? That branching coral effect, much nicer than this one. This one's like a smoochy mess, but that's okay. That's okay. We can actually add some gold over the top of that when it dries, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Now there's still a bit of paint left on this one. This one I've kind of squished it into oblivion. I don't know that there's much left on this one at all, but we'll try. We'll see what we can get, if we can get 2 more prints from the paint that's left on here. Right, I'm just going to do something really shocking here and just try this on black. Again, pressing down but not flattening out the dendrites as I did here, just not flattening them too much. Pull that up, and that's pretty. That is really pretty, subtle but pretty. And I'm going to do something with this, and I'll show you how this ties in with my project that I've actually been doing at the art gallery. See how interesting that may be. So there's our pieces. I'm going to take them away and wash them. That's really nice. That's actually very gentle and it's subtle. And you can see I've just used a scrap piece of paper on that just to see how it would go. This one, I'm not going to give up on it. I'm going to do something with it, but this one I am absolutely thrilled with. This is just looking like seaweed at the bottom of the ocean. And so I can stamp on that later. I have some lovely stamps from Stampin' Up. This mermaid would look beautiful if I was to stamp her onto a flesh-toned piece of cardstock and cut her out and lay her on top of that. There's your card done. Mermaid Kisses and Starfish Wishes. There's a beautiful birthday card. So I will complete that and I'll put it on my Instagram page, which is Vicki Parfenow Studio. So you'll be able to see that completed card there, but I want to show you the cards that I have already completed and what you can do with them. So this is one of the tags that I made. You can see this is just a mixed media tag from Ranger, and I have left this one free to show you how the dendritic prints work. This one I have stamped with this adorable little stamp from Stampotique. It's a little transgender person on the front. I absolutely love this stamp. And I've added some white gel pen into the back of it so that she would stand, or so that they would stand out against the background. Okay, and oh, before I move on with this one, I want to show you my washi tape tag. If you've never made a washi tape tag, they are cool. All you do is get a fairly long piece of washi tape, I would say about 30 centimeters, fold it in half and very carefully fold it onto itself so there's no sticky stuff left. And if you get these little bits here that are a little bit ragged, that's perfect for this type of a card. It just matches the card so well, and it feels very plastic. It's a really unusual feel. So that's a different way to create a tag with a beautiful little piece on top of it like that, a little topper for your tag. Okay, I'll put those to one side and I'll bring in these little darlings. Now these were made by putting a blob of silver, a blob of yellow and a blob of blue. 2 blobs of silver, one on each side, a blob of yellow and a blob of blue. And you can see how beautifully that turned out. The dendrites there, the dendritic cells are really clear. And I've just put Starfish Wishes on this one. This came from this stamp set. And all I did was mask off Mermaid Kisses at the top. I just wanted Starfish Wishes on this because I love that little starfish element. And the seahorse came from a very old Stampin' Up set by the Tide. There he is there in there. I've used some more of this stamp set in these next dendritic prints as well. So this print has been turned into a little tag. This is the actual print. This is a very beautiful dendrite. And I've stamped the fish and the text onto that. I'll take those out of there so you can see because they're very reflective in this light. There we go. Fish, There's the seahorse I used earlier, and the script that comes in this By the Tide stamp set. It's a very old stamp set. I've also used the lobster. He'll be coming up in a second. I'll show you how I used him. And then after I had stamped that image and mounted it onto some black, I then used the fine tip of the bright yellow. That's this colour here. I'll show you the colour. That colour here, to create the little bubbles. And I think that is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love that one. And I made this little stamp here I used to make this dendrite. Now this dendrite was very much like this first one I did. It's a bit of hit and miss sometimes. I have to warn you that sometimes you will get these smudgy ones. So I took a smudgy one, technical term, a smudgy one, and I added the little lobster to it. And then I made a little piece on the bottom, forget the mistake, remember the lesson. And that comes from this beautiful set of Uplifting Type by Paper Roses. So this has an A5 piece of paper, 2 each of 6 designs, and it has all these lovely uplifting little sentiments on it. Courage over comfort, trust yourself, stay strong, make it happen, don't give up. And I found forget the mistake, remember the lesson. So that's what I'm doing with this one. And it turned into a cute little card to put this lobster onto. And the final one, which is similar to the technique I've used today, I created a greeting card that opens this way, and I stamped on or printed on the pink dendrite first, let it dry, came back and printed on several of the blue, the aqua blue dendrites. And then I don't know if that's picking up on camera. Yes, it is. You can see the beautiful gold, which is this gold here. Fabulous gold. I've nearly used it all up, which I then used stamping on very small dobs of ink on each of the tiles and just added a third layer on top of that. So you can keep coming back and layering on and layering on. Ultimately, I decided that I was going to make an actual art piece from this technique because I think it's so exciting, it's so easy. It's something that you look at it and you think, wow, look at all those shapes. That just looks really fun. How did she do that? And I'm going to show you the piece that I made that I'm going to put into the exhibit at the Regional Gallery. So here is the piece, and you can see it is all gold paint. So I used the Ikea Kids gold paint, and I printed very, very clear dendrites, circular and long shapes. Now to create the long shapes, basically, I'll show you those now so that you see how I made them. Okay, so I've just cleaned down my tile. I'm back. Clear a bit of space here. Oh, I love seeing these out here. They're really cool. Okay, well, let's move them all away. We're going to bring in the Star Performer, which is the gold paint. The silver is also lovely. The silver I find works really well with cool colours. The gold works well with warm colours. But now I'm just going to show you how I made those gold shapes on their own. So I'm going to do 2 shapes. I'm going to do a circular shape down here, and I'm just going to pile up some paint in a circle, and then I'm going to draw a long piece of paint up the top. That's all it needs, not a huge amount of paint at all. And I'm going to, oh, sorry, I just bumped the camera. I'm going to squish the tiles, very technical term again, squishing. And I'm going to open that up, let it sit for a minute, and gives the chance for the dendrites to appear. There's a long shape, shows up really well on the blue, and there's a gold shape. So you can see what they look like. And I'll bring back that black paper just to show you how they show up on black. I'm going to print this one down very gently. It's just really gentle taps so that the dendrites don't collapse. You can see there's the beautiful shapes that I've created on that one, and I'll do the same on this, around this side. Just gently, whoops, and I moved it, so that'll be a bit smudgy. Oh, it still came out okay. You know, it's one of those things that you can be lucky. And in order to make sure that I had really interesting designs on my piece and that they were all clear dendrites, I cut my black cardstock into strips, and I'll bring that back in and show you. So rather than printing a sheet all at once, I was able to print a dendrite, then print another one when that had dried, and print another one when that had dried, using a strip across my tiles. Then I distressed all the edges of the black cardstock and I mounted it on rust paper. This is very heavy duty watercolour Fabriano paper, beautiful 300 GSM watercolour paper that I've mounted it upon. And I've stained it using a rust paper technique, which is involving all kinds of chemicals and tea bags and all sorts of things. So if you want to know how to do that, just look up online the rust paper technique, similar to the coffee paper technique and the tea paper technique, but it just gives that little bit more added depth. And I distressed all the edges of the paper so that I would end up with this quite lovely piece that is going to go in the gallery. I hope you enjoyed that today. Give dendritic printing a try. I have many other examples of this technique. I can take it from small to extremely large pieces, and I'll bring some of those back to the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, hit that bell, and leave me a comment if you've enjoyed today's project, and give it a try for a couple of tiles for 20 cents each from the hardware store and some kids paint. You can have lots of fun making lots of prints. Bye for now.